Welcome to the Protector Culture Podcast with Jimmy Graham. Jimmy is a veteran U.S. Navy SEAL, a former protective officer for the CIA Global Response Staff, founder and CEO of the Able Shepherd Program, a husband and father of 4, and a personal friend of mine. Now here's Jimmy.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Protector Culture Podcast with Jimmy Graham. I'm your host, Jimmy Graham, joined once again by my friend, Able Shepherd 051BK. What's up, brother?
How the heck are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. And I titled this one, Try to Keep Up. You've heard me say it before. Instead of saying, what can one person do, start saying, try to keep up. It means get going. Like this motion needs to happen. We're way behind, I believe. And that's what I want to talk about today.
So it's not how to keep up with Jimmy Graham. It's more the big picture of life.
If more people said that, I think it's not try to keep up with me. I think everybody needs to say that. I think it promotes action because I hear a lot of complaining going on, not seeing a lot of stuff going on. I'm seeing more and more.
And I think it's interesting with COVID.
Yeah.
I'm noticing that with people just out in society. How do you interact again? But how do you get off the couch and go be active?
Yeah.
Go take a walk, go for a ride. Because I think for a while, you shelter in place, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like that. I like the idea of get out there,
Let's get after it. Let's throw a shout out to our sponsor, Able Nation. Able Nation was born out of the Able Shepherd community. But what happened is Neil Pinkham and myself were going to churches and schools, primarily schools at that time, and trying to help out with security. And when they wouldn't have something, we'd dig in our pocket and pay for it, little door latches or security stuff or whatever. And it got to add up. So we reached out to the community, invited them to say, let's do fundraisers, raise money, and literally give these things away. So like it's not me doing it, it's not Neil doing it, it's the community doing it. We facilitate it with a lot of the Able Shepherd staff. But then, for example, we may just go on a 4,400-mile motorcycle ride
around the block,
to the northwest of this beautiful country and raise $40,000 and spend it on medical kits or spend it on body armor or scholarships for training for those who couldn't afford it. So if you're in a position to better take care of those in your care, make a safer church, a safer school, or even civic groups, meaning groups of people that form up to make their communities safer, and you don't have the financial means to do so, then reach out to Neil. It's a simple application at able-nation.org. You're looking for Neil. You'll fill that thing out and give it to him. He'll review it, get back to you. So thank you. Special thanks to Able Nation. All right, let's get to it. So, brother, movie genres. What would you say? When BK kicks back, maybe the mountains are blue, maybe not, whatever, and you're kicking back on the sofa. Where do you land?
I am definitely more of a action movie, like Guys Be Guys, probably fast cars, explosions, action. The wife, if she has a vote, we might be in the more romantic comedy or emotional.
I'm a movie lover. I kind of do it all.
Okay,
but
all the above.
And I wrote this note on here, a little more action adventure than I am drama. Like skip the drama, let's get to the action adventure. And I think that was a life-changing thing for me. I was 30-something years old studying at Liberty University online. And this dawned on me that, and I don't know how I didn't catch this in Sunday school, that there is there's an old covenant, a new covenant, old contract, new covenant, Old Testament, New Testament, a climax in the middle with a cross, and then there's that story is still going on. So I don't know if you know what felt board Jesus is. Remember those old felt boards?
Yeah.
You put the lamb and you'd put like that stuff on there. That's how I can remember Sunday school, and that's unfortunate. Okay. But at 30-something years old, SEAL team guy, little experience behind my life, I realized for the first time that I'm in this story, that there's an adventure going on. The greatest story ever told in the history of ever, I'm in. So that changed things for me, because then it became an action adventure, right? So that really did, and I think a lot of people, if they realize that they are in an adventure right now, and it's an action adventure, and you play a part in it, that's a life-changing revelation. So once that kind of flipped over into the next page of that book, it got super exciting for me. Then it continues to this day. So I want to talk about what we're up to. And when I say try to keep up, it just means like we're going to feel like we're going 100 miles an hour. And I love it. I love it because I am action adventure. And I hear a lot of things right now being said that we can't leave unchecked. You can't repeat lies. You can't repeat things that are not true because they're destructive. So just to give an example of what we've got going on, to maybe inspire you to get involved. So I'm going to start off with the school boards. The school boards, we did a podcast with General Jerry Boykin at the Family Research Council. Great guy, American treasure, really. Man that I absolutely respect. Got on him and talked with him, and we came to the conclusion, he stated, we've already been stating this, but he was exactly in the same camp. You want to change your local community, start with the school board and the local sheriff, right? And I spent a lot of time thinking about that. School board, the kids are our future, period. And we trusted the system, if you will, saying, hey, how about I just throw you some tax dollars and let me get back to my thing, assuming there was some kind of fiduciary responsibility, that there was like our best interests were their best interests, right? Their highest, and they simply weren't. So now I believe that there is a destructive curriculum being presented to my children, which, in my financial situation, if we could send them all off to private schools, maybe we would. I don't know that. But it's not just my children, it's everybody's kids. It means that if we lose our kids, we lose our future. So if they're being taught things that are absolutely destructive, it means now I have to undo that. I have to pay you and then fight with you. I have to undo the things you did. So I'm going to fund you harming my children for 8 hours a day. That's going to take a lot away from me. So I think the most efficient thing, the correct thing to do would be to fix that, to get involved with that, to get the people in there, and then not take our eyes off again. So not only get them elected. So if you're in Douglas County, I'm really going to challenge you right now to learn more about Myers, Weiniger, Williams, and Peterson. I've met with these people. They're good people. I believe that's where we start here locally. So I challenge you within the next 24 hours to get your ballots in. So research, know what you're doing here, but we have to start somewhere, and I think that's where we're going to move the needle here locally in Douglas County. Next year we've got a sheriff's election, so we're going to focus our attention on that once we win this one. So that's a big deal. So when we have meetings, the missus is out in the parking lot saying, "Would you like your car painted?" And they say yes. So she takes a picture of it. You go inside. While you're in there, she's doing up the back, the glass and all that stuff. So again, we've got an amazing school. It's a charter school that it does, by definition, it is a public school that receives funding, but they're amazing. They're not introducing this curriculum. So yes, long term it's for my kids, but it's for your kids. Like if you're in a public school, I care about your kids too. We care about your kids too. It's not just what's best for Jimmy Graham's kids. It's our future. So that's what we've got going on right now. Local county sheriff, like I stated, number 2 is we'll focus on that heading into next year. I know they're getting started right now, but same thing. If things are going bad, which all things, I'm not a doomsdayer, but I'm watching the same news that you're watching. And I see a lot of broken things. We've said it this way. Going 100 miles an hour at a brick wall, that only ends one way. Yeah. But I'm starting to see people grab at the wheel, trying to turn and say, my kids are on this bus, I don't want to go that way. We need to turn. When it gets really, really bad and people just have their way with a system that worked and call dark light and call good bad and bad good and all that stuff, it's going to break. And when it breaks, it's going to be bad, and the sheriff is going to have a lot of say. We need a strong sheriff with good character that can stand up and say, not in Douglas County.
Now, if I'm a critical thinking type person, I want to capture my facts, do you have 2 or 3 bullet points that you would ask a potential board member or a sheriff? Where do you stand on this? How does that align with me? What goes on inside of your head when you...
When I do it, it wouldn't be any different than when I sat down with the school board. By the way, I've met with both of our local county sheriff candidates. Yep. There will be more meetings coming up because I want to dig deeper. To me, it's more of a character. We're talking about character. Where do you get your truth, and are you living it? Yeah. It's easy to say. Like words to some people still mean something. But somehow it's in fashion that if you're running for something, you can say whatever you want. It doesn't matter if you mean to do it. It doesn't matter that in a couple of weeks if you win or if you win, forget what I said because it just doesn't matter, right? So you have to go back to character. Like, what is your track record? What were you doing before 2020? 2020, everybody started popping out with these new whatever, but do you have a heart for, we say that here. So much of the stuff that I learned here as a businessman and as a part of this community applies in so many places, and I'm starting to learn that. But we say, the interview started 3 years ago. 3 years ago. So that means I've known you a long time. And all of a sudden you're running for something, and now you're this new person. You put on a suit and say, now interview me and I'll answer some stuff. It's like, I've known you a long time. I think we're done here, Or I've known you a long time. The flip side of that is you're interviewing right now for a position that doesn't exist until 3 years from now. In 3 years, there's going to be a position. You're interviewing right now for it. That's another way to think of it. So when somebody pops out and puts on their good Sunday clothes and comes out and cleans up their language and starts acting morally, everybody sees through that.
Yeah. So if I'm hearing it right, I'm picturing character, accountability, and some type of resume, for lack of a better word, that shows over the years, here's some consistency.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it can be felt as well. I think that some people are better at judging character, and I'd be very careful with that, but it just means that if I had to pick three: honor, integrity, accountability, timeless, right? If I don't respect you, there's no honor there. That has to be earned. And I've heard it said, one of our podcasts, one, screw up could knock out, 99 attaboys.
Yep.
I would say that in some communities, like the SEAL community, very hard community, you may never get that back ever.
Yeah.
You screw up big enough, there's no grace in that world. You're done here, right? So when people say your name, that's all they think of. So that needs to be managed diligently. There has to be, in one of my favorite definitions of integrity, a steadfast adherence to a strict moral or ethical code. I don't remember stuff very well, so the fact that I remember that definition is a big deal to me, because it really rocked me. A steadfast, not kinda. We have a joke, not all in kinda.
Yep.
It's a steadfast adherence. It means my stomach hurts when I don't adhere to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for, are you going to be that person that stands for good in the trenches? That's what I'm looking for. You're going to run for the hills? Okay, well, then we screwed up electing you, right?
Yep.
So, and did you say words, are you doing this for you, or are you doing this for them? If you're doing this for the kids, you're a good school board candidate for our future. If you're doing it because you need to run for something, you want people to know your name, you're not my guy. You're not my gal, right? Some people need more than they have to offer. That's unfortunate. But at that point, people shouldn't be looking to them for leadership. Answer your question?
That was a great answer.
Okay, good. I'm glad. Let's see. Safety. Okay, so school board, local county sheriff, safety. We're big on safety. We've been criticized for being big on safety. That doesn't even make sense to me. Did you know, and this is the fact because I Googled it. It was a joke. But I believe this is MSN News. U.S. gun sales in the first 6 months of 2021 surged 15% to 22.2 million. First half of the year. This is a record.
Yeah.
Bigger than ever. The people have spoken. So this whole gun thing, I don't understand. Obviously people are concerned about their safety. They're purchasing guns. Sales of guns in the United States rose 40% last year to 39.7 million, and that's an entire year. Now in the first 6 months, 22.2, right? People have spoken with their checkbooks.
Yep.
Should these people be safe? Yes or no?
Absolutely should be safe.
Get some training. It's a silly question to me, right?
Rhetorical,
People send me all of this stuff because I'm in this industry. The crazy things about a guy bringing a baby home and standing there giving a speech and taking one in the back and falling over dead because some knucklehead down the block was drinking and messing with a gun. There's all of these things that we need to understand when it comes to firearms. And as I scratch the surface of this, there's the NRA, there's law enforcement. I'm saying this respectfully, but I don't really have a sense of humor about it anymore. And I'm not as kind as maybe I should be, is that when I peeked my head into this conversation, it's not even close to being okay. Because I'm from a more elite level, and all that means is efficiency. There was money set aside to figure out some lessons. Those lessons have not trickled in, whether it's on safety, whether it's on tactics, whether it's on whatever. Now, you might be on a SWAT team and say, oh, we're the best. Maybe you are, but you're not the common thing. You would be the exception to the rule, because most patrol police officers don't have the means necessary to enter an active shooter situation.
Nope.
Period. That's just the deal, and I'll prove that to you 50 times a day. Just come in and I'll show you. But it's just not okay, because who loses on that one? The kids. So I think if these are truly the numbers, or say it's half wrong, it's insane that people are walking around right now that don't understand what they have on their hip or in their safe or in their home. So we are focusing very much on on safer schools, safer gun owners. We are in schools and businesses all the time. We do consulting, and we tell people what this looks like when you truly are in a protective posture. So to protect people is different than shooting guns. It's a totally different thing. Now, sometimes that's what's required, but it's a different world, and most people don't understand the basic fundamentals. We're also consulting right now. And by the way, for the safer schools, for the safer businesses and all that, recently became a fellow with the Colorado Christian University's Centennial Institute. So we were interviewed, 50 times recently about Afghanistan. That sparked it, but then what are we going to do to defend this nation on a local level? So that's a big contribution as well. Written a couple articles as well. Shifting gears into the future of schools. In the future of schools, I'm on a committee, if you will, right now working on what do schools look like in the future. When you're building a school, it is the community's responsibility to protect that school. That can mean with police officers, it can mean with citizens, it can mean with businesses. Literally the way you structure a city block may look different to guarantee a 30-second response time in local schools. So people say, that sounds expensive. It's actually free. That sounds like it's not doable. It's absolutely doable. And once I show politicians and potential investors what this would look like, they go, wait a minute, that would work. Hold on a second. And then we start going a little bit deeper. So with that would spend, I've had that for years. We dusted that back off and pulled it back out and said, hey, if this is the trajectory of our nation and it's getting darker, which means more unsafe, particularly for Christian schools that might be targeted, then we need to have that conversation, and we need to have it right now because these things take a long time to put in place, but I believe that would work.
And the bottom line is you're protecting the kids.
That's right.
Giving them an environment to learn, to grow, to develop.
Yeah. Because really, what's the objective there? It's not to push your political agenda. It's to have them come in not knowing something, and when they leave, they know something, right? Yeah. To continually do that for years and years and years, to just be kids and just do outdoor events and just do, without worrying about somebody coming in and shooting them, without worrying about, do we opt out of protecting them so they're forced to protect themselves, like we've seen here in Colorado.
And I saw a fantastic TV show, because this isn't the future. This isn't 25, 50 years down the road. All neighborhoods, all communities, cities are constantly being developed and redeveloped.
Yeah.
There's areas that may have, let's just say, lower income housing, gets torn down and rebuilt better.
Yeah.
The school is the center of the community to make the kids better.
Yeah.
And now you're offering up safety and security and protection for those kids to be better.
Yeah.
And I think that's what everybody's fighting for in the end.
Well, again, words must mean something. Any school will say the kids' safety is our top priority. And obviously I use more tact than this. No, it's not. You prop the door open like for an hour. I walked right in here. No, it's not. But I get it. It ruffles feathers, so they close the door for a week. Week 2, I don't know how many schools I've been in. I go to schools all the time, and the kids open the doors for me. And that's great because they're polite. They're good kids, but they have to understand this isn't a polite thing. This is a safety thing. Yep. So when a kid's holding the door open, it's a bigger deal because they never met me. They have no idea who I am, right?
Especially high schools. I don't know, 2,500 kids running around.
Right. Yeah.
5,000 parents at a minimum.
Yeah, it is. And it's always a safety culture shift. I say that you can create a safety culture within the school. It's everybody's job. Everybody, even the kids. Yeah. Kids, teachers, staff, admin, parents, everybody. It's your job. This is part of a safety culture. Yep. Everyone has a role in a crisis, even if it's a small one, but everybody has one. All right. Enhanced capability, we work on that. So another thing, try to keep up. Enhanced capability, Able Shepherd, training. Like I said, there's a deficit in that training. There was when I started it. It was started as Duty to Act back in 2012. It actually still is Duty to Act LLC, doing business as Able Shepherd, the same company. It just took a while to get going, man. It's been a long road. But we're doing it. We're leading the way in the nation, and we can tell you more about that anytime you want to ask. Able Nation, we just talked about that and why we created that. There's definite people saying we can't afford it. That's no longer a thing, right? Yes, you can, because now we can help. These people just paid for it. Now what's your excuse? And they go, whatever.
Well, and it is worth noting it. I get the numbers mixed up. 501c3. It is a tax-deductible donation for people, let's just say, with means to invest in the community.
That's right.
So keep that in mind. You put some money in the kitty, and it goes a long way to distribute.
And it's not just in our community. We actually invest in things outside of our community. But how cool would it be if other people, instead of complaining about what's not being done, created a 501c3? Now, obviously, with the emphasis on, are you doing it for you or are you doing it for them? But if you're handing out money to good stuff all the time, you're making a dent. You may not see it register on your particular needle, but it is. It's planting those seeds. Like I tell people, it's like steering ship, right? You turn, then you wait, and you wait, and you wait, and then all of a sudden you realize you're heading to a better place.
Or for me, backing up a trailer.
And you wait, and it depends on how big. You did a small one before, and you touch that wheel, you better be ready. All right, so Able Shepherd, Able Nation, and Stand the Gap Initiative. That's another initiative that I wish people would grasp a hold of. It's yours for the taking. That's why we built it, standinthegapinitiative.com. There's the tools you need to make your community safer. We just put them all on there, from videos to like the Don Jones videos to the Brad Schuler comms to all this stuff. Our community dumped into this so you can turnkey, pick it up, and create your own community.
And I think it starts even a level deeper. It starts within your house.
That's right.
Root cellar mentality, preparing for a snowstorm, and then it expands out to the neighbors. It expands out to the community. So, yeah, it's wonderfully valuable information.
Yeah,
For free.
absolutely.
Right on the
Full
website.
free. Build community. So community, even more so than all that stuff. So you can have that, recently they said on the Washington Watches, I follow that with Tony Perkins, is beans and bullets. They were talking about the coming collapse, like the financial collapse, not if, when, can't outgrow this now, we can't grow our way out of it, all that stuff. They were just saying, be ready to take care of yourself. And I've never heard them say that, beans and bullets. Beans and bullets is a common term, but they're like, what'd they say? Get out of debt.
Yep.
Cash at the house. Beans and bullets, be ready to hold tight for a while. I don't know what that means exactly. I mean, I know what it means, but I don't know how long. Nobody knows, right? But to hear other people saying that gets my attention. Because again, if everything was just fantastic and we had some good principles going, that'd be harder to swallow. It's not. We're going. This is a broken formula that we're working on. So now that actually makes sense to me that there would be a collapse on many levels, actually. Yeah. So it's time to take a look at it. I think it's responsible now. Now I think it's negligence if you don't. So it was paranoid if you did. Now it's negligence if you don't. And it's funny how that shifts, just like the church security teams. It was kind of like paranoia if you did. Now it's negligence if you don't. And it just kind of flipped overnight. It seemed like overnight. But the community, building community, when you get like what we call them stand groups, or we've got the Able Shepherd community, that is more valuable than anything you could put in your beans and bullets in your basement and all this other stuff. Right? Human beings are the answer, period. So if you're not a relationship type person, you need to start working on that ASAP because you're done already. You need to have a solid community, and you need to be, what is it? Have good friends means be a good friend. Be a good friend, whatever, like you tell your kids, right? What's the answer? So when we talk about building communities, I want to give some action as well to this, and not just one thing I see is people complaining. When they complain, it's starting to sting my ears because that means you know what's wrong, but you're not doing anything about it, right? All you're doing is complaining, and then the end, and I'm going to complain more tomorrow, okay? That's the problem. That's part of the problem. So when somebody said, where do you start? It reminded me of David Barton is someone I absolutely admire. I want to get him out here. I want to learn more from him. I want to be a student, all this stuff. But he put up a slide when he was on Jack Hibbs' service with truth right in the middle. And in the corners off to the side, that slideshow could be the mantra or mantra's a bad word. What is it? The new slogan for how to fix this entire endeavor. And even if it's not ours to fix, if we can't fix it, we still got to try. Tell my kids,
absolutely. Can't
save the world. It's already been done, but you got to try, right? That's what we're called to do. But it had truth in the middle, and then it said, love, find, defend, and spread. And that says so much if you really, really think about it. So you don't understand. That's another question I'd have for the sheriff. That's another question I had for all these people. Where do you get your truth? So where do you get your truth? Obviously, a man of faith, Christian man of faith. And I get my truth from the Word of God. And if you got a problem with that, it's okay. It just means that there's religious freedoms, and I can believe that if I want. I don't hate you because you get it somewhere else. I'm just saying that's where I get mine. So when you say I don't know, I think that's a childish answer. Like, what are your truth? I don't know. All right, you're not ready to even start, right? If you said somewhere else, we can have a discussion, but you're like, I just know what's right and wrong. Okay.
Need a basis for that. Need a foundation.
Right on. Okay, so to love the truth, to find and seek the truth, to defend the truth, and then to spread the truth, I think is the place to start. And we could do a whole podcast on that, and maybe we will. I say it this way, and people, and I'll get into the haters in just a second. I say it this way for a reason. We need to end racism. Yep. Pause. Against white people. And people who I don't like the second part, I don't care. We need to end sexism. Pause. They go, yeah. Against men. We need to end, I put racial, I meant religious persecution against Christians. So all of a sudden people are out of the conversation. But it must work both ways. That filter must work both ways. So if you're saying that we can end If we can end religious persecution, that's a great. Everybody can get behind that, unless they say it's against Christians. Okay, that should be a red flag to everybody.
Yeah.
Right? I don't think we should persecute Muslims. I don't think we should any other faith. I don't think we should. Right? I think there should be this freedom of religion, but somehow it doesn't apply to Christians. That is the big bullseye, saying you are on target. Men are getting a bad rap right now, obviously. And then this thing about white people. I happen to be in a position where my mother was born in Okinawa. So I'm half Japanese, half white, if you will, 100% American, right?
Yep.
So I see these things from almost one layer out. I'm like, this doesn't make sense to me at all. So it's just all of a sudden, people say that as if it has some juice to it. You know, like all of a sudden there was a monopoly on racism. So, and I've said this before, what does reverse racism mean? There's no reverse racism, there's just racism, right? So if you're going to end racism, you got to end all of it. And then before we get to the last part, back to good. We must get back to good. It means it must be good both ways. It means you don't have to believe what I believe, but I have a definition of good. Back to Leif's interview, with a capital G. That means I get my definition of good, meaning God. Like Old English, you know, if we say goodbye, it used to mean God be with ye, you know, like that thing. So even that checks me. It means that if I say something and I say, man, literally would that be okay to say in the presence of Christ? How is that received what I just said? Man, sometimes it stops me on my tracks. I got to make a phone call, right, and fix that. But that's called accountability. Remember that honor, integrity, accountability? That we must bring that back so we don't get to be jerks just because the guy... It was funny because a Republican said it.
Yeah.
It was, but not if a Democrat, or if a Democrat said it. I'm thinking Bill Maher. But if it was Republican, no, that wouldn't stand for that. Okay, Republican, I don't even know. There's tons of people that just are so far to that extreme.
Extremes.
And I'm like, okay, I happen to agree with the base of that, but the way you're saying it, I'm out again because you left good. We must go back to that, even when it's in our favor.
Yep.
Oh, man, don't get me started. I'm on fire. This was supposed to be a quick one. You knew this was going to be impossible. Okay, let's get to the haters. So we've heard a couple things muttering around within the interwebs. First off, I don't really respond to that stuff. So I don't spend my life on Facebook. I am on Facebook because I'm a businessman, and I put out Bible verses, and I put out tips, public safety announcements. I do all that stuff, again, to make the world I live in a better place. But if you're going to hate and you got not a leg to stand on, I think you're trying to be relevant. And if I respond back to you all of a sudden, look, there's this person. It's like, who's that guy? That you didn't even know what he's talking about, right? So it truly is a waste of time. So I don't do it a whole lot. But we figured, I heard Jimmy Evans. I don't know if you remember that guy.
No.
Pastor guy, whatever. Got amazing marriage session or whatever he did seminar. And he said this and it grabbed me, and he said, technology is a good servant, but a terrible master.
Terrible master.
So I don't live waiting for what you say to hate on Jimmy Graham. I just don't.
Nope.
Why? Because I'm busy trying to keep up. But on the lines of that, I think that a couple things need to be addressed. Or I want to address. I don't have to address any of this, but why not?
Well, yeah, I know. I heard something, read something, somebody, forwards post or whatever, and they talk about, say, a right-wing militia group. Talk to me about that one.
So militias, it's funny how, not funny at all, it's tactical how even a word militia would be turned, and now it's something like militia, because some dude's hiding in the woods and sharpening knives and doing whatever. We don't fit that bill at all. We were very blessed in the very beginning. I don't know, I just felt led to make our motto, take care of one another.
Take care of one another.
And I'm not sure how you argue that. So take care. I say, hey, we should take care of one another. What's your argument? No, we shouldn't. Like that, again, this is child talk, right? So again, if there's firearms out there by the millions, should they be safe?
Absolutely.
Absolutely yes. If somebody was hurting your child, should an adult step in? Absolutely yes, right? But everybody says it because the movies say that would be cool, but they don't know how to do it.
Yep.
So again, a lack of accountability, saying, yeah, I've got a gun, I've got it in my closet, and I bought it before they say I can't. You're shut on, never have, right? But John Wick tells you that you're going to be able to come in and wreck shop. It's like, no, this is not reality, right? You're going to come in, trip, and shoot yourself in the foot, right? So I think that militia group, I don't understand how someone can make that argument when you say, as a man in America, that's a Christian, that you fill in the blank, let's say not Christian, let's say not man. As an adult, should you protect children from being harmed? The answer is yes. Okay. Should you be good at it? Yes. How would you get good at it? Train. So if you train, you're a militia. See the jump?
Yeah. Well, what I don't understand, when I hear the word militia, my mind goes to something that's more offensive.
Yeah.
And what I think about with the training I've experienced with you is it's defensive by nature. And it has values and standards and fundamentals all around protecting the package, protecting your loved ones. You're not running out seeking harm. You're stopping it from happening. So...
And I think that there are, whether it's militia or whether it's the armed guy, the guy that's got the ARs all over him because he legally can and he stands down in town square.
Trying to make a point, yeah.
Is this for him or is this for the cause? Well, you just hurt the cause by being a knucklehead and you somehow got something out of it. In your mind, you thought I was like, I don't think you look like you think you look, right? Yeah. You look like a fool to me. Right? And well, America, Second Amendment, right. You just harmed that. Yeah. So that's how I see that. And people see it however they want, but everybody I've heard is like, what's up with G.I. Joe down there, Yeah. So, yeah, I agree.
So what about some of the other stuff I've read? Maybe it's come from, Department of Homeland Security, categorizing, maybe grouping people as domestic terrorists based on what they believe or say their stance is, almost stereotyping.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that one.
Absolutely. It's okay for white Christian. I think some of that, if I remember correctly, some of that was if you thought that there was any foul play in the election, if you forced, if you were against forced vaccinations, maybe Christian, maybe white. I mean, I just remember somebody saying, I check all those boxes. Somebody was saying this. And, that can be said now, just against that particular people group, right? It's funny to me how, again, words mean nothing. So let's make terrorist mean, let me translate what that means. It means the guy you would call when things go bad. So again, when this thing breaks, because you broke it, you want to live a certain way, but you don't want any rules. I say it this way. We're building a skyscraper while simultaneously chipping away at the foundation. It's just a bad plan, right? You just can't do it. There are consequences to your poor decisions, period. So when you break the thing, even though you may not believe what I believe, like honor, integrity, accountability, or Christ, you're still going to call me, and guess what? I'm probably going to come. I don't agree with you, but I don't think you should be murdered and raped. So a guy like me is probably going to show up and protect your family. That does not fit. So I guess instead of calling me a terrorist and those like me terrorist, it would be much more appreciated if you just said thank you.
Yeah. And
not just on Veterans Day.
Yeah. We'd go for a long time. So how about, I think we've covered this topic even in previous episodes, but there's a term toxic masculinity.
Oh, yeah.
Being thrown around like rice at a wedding.
Yep. So that could be used again. Anything that you don't like about men, you could label that toxic masculinity. You taught him how to hunt, and he's a little boy or whatever, or you killed defenseless animals, or even shooting guns. I don't see a lot of toxic masculinity within these walls. I see a lot of growth. I see a lot of honesty. I see a lot of people struggling with challenges together and coming out the other end better, right? I really put a lot of stock into the term righteous masculinity. It's like we were built to be masculine. There's something there. There's something that's drawn. That song comes to mind, Bible in a 44, talking about her dad, the last one off if a ship went down. Those kind of things, the kind of man you wanted to be around. Certain things draw not only men together, they draw people toward men. Same thing for women, different types of strength, but some people you just want to be around. I just want to sit here and be in your presence. It's been my estimation that everything that I have seen in what I refer to like a hero of mine, every one of those characteristics of, say, my grandfather, if I wrote them on paper, were all Christ-like characteristics. So I'd say I'm not even, when I talk about my own life and why I believe what I believe, there's no questions in my voice. I know exactly where I stand. But I think that righteous masculinity is is needed more than ever in my life right now in this nation.
Yep.
But I think the term toxic masculinity is people that know that that's needed, but they want to counter it.
Yep.
You know, like I said, tough. You tried to attack it and it didn't go away. So there we sit.
Awesome. Now, obviously, very strong man of faith, professed Christian. Able Shepherd is your training organization. What if Able Shepherd existed with a different religious foundation?
This is an actual real thing. So somebody said this, maybe on the interwebs. Good.
Yeah.
Now, if they are saying, so this is another faith group, and they are professing light, not dark, love, not hate, take care of one another.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah. Why wouldn't they? Not only hell yeah, it's their duty. Why aren't they?
Yeah.
So if you're saying that you are going to defend innocent life and you believe in a different God, go big, do it. Now, if you're saying that you want my people group erased off like my innocent children wasted off the face of the earth, then I have issue with that.
Not
right?
so good. Yeah.
Not so good, right? And I think that by default, because due to the fall, I believe that the default setting is betrayal and murder and death. So without actively working on each other, for each other, that community, that active thing, search for good, then it's bad.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate, but that's the deal. So if that does go down that road and people just throw their hands up in the air, it ends poorly.
Yeah.
And then people start taking, and people start hurting, and people start giving into the desires of their flesh, which means rape and means only the strong survive, which, by the way, was a kind of a sexy thing. And like people, the Viking thing, I think I've told you about this in the SEAL teams. It's like they would say like Valhalla and all this other stuff. And it never works both ways. Yeah, to conquer and do this, storm the castle and,
save the princess.
And I was like, okay, so if that's, I'm stronger than you, so I can take what you have. Wait a minute. I'm stronger than you. That means that I can take all your stuff, that I can steal your wife, that I can do all that. Oh, no, not me. All of a sudden, or you get older, and all of a sudden there's younger guys that are stronger than you, and all of a sudden it falls apart. So it was garbage from the get-go, where that goes. There was no meat on the bone in the first place.
And unfortunately, I think that is becoming very real. At least some of the news flashes I see. Pick a city west of the Mississippi. Probably give you 3 or 4 examples off the top of my head where it's going to hell in a handbasket.
Yeah.
I'm just going to break that window and take every electronics in the store on video camera.
Yeah.
Police aren't coming. Owner's not.
Were you the one telling me about the young lady that got raped on the subway and people were watching?
People were filming it.
That's the deal, man.
On their iPhone.
Like that's, this is not really my deal. It is your deal.
Getting your blood cooking a little bit.
Well, and that's the thing. There is a danger. Like I said, there's a danger in repeating lies. So no one is doing anything. So I hear people, no one's doing anything. That's a lie. Yep. There's so many people. I took some notes. Google Jack Hibbs, David Barton, Family Research Council, Jerry Boykin, Tony Perkins, Tim Throckmorton, Community Impact Teams, Lila Rose. Google those. Hit pause, rewind, Google those. If at this point, if you think no one's doing anything, it's because your head's in the sand.
Yeah.
It means you need to pick a battle, either start one, or get behind these people because they're on the front lines. Pull out your checkbook, and the least you can possibly do is write a check. And so regularly, battles require funding. Wars need to be funded or they are lost. So it means you don't get to sit there and shake your fist at the TV anymore. Or you're just that person.
No more mad uncle.
No more mad grandpa with a mad grandpa, right? So it means support somebody, pray about it, and if you're led to start something, the thing that ticks you off more than anything, start something, get something going. Get a community impact team, connect it to your church, call Family Research Council, get a hold of Tim Throckmorton. We just did this. We were doing it anyway, but we said, hey, let's come under these, like I call it, get the good guys with the good guys. Let's figure this out because we can make more progress. All right, brother, so where does that leave us? So we've put all this out there. Again, it would be a complaint unless we finished it up with following it with truths. And then action. That would be my challenge. Instead of saying, what can one person do? Because people say that. They literally say, like, well, I'm just one person. What can I do? I'm like, that's the only thing that's ever done anything was one person, followed by another person, followed by another person, right? So somebody has to be the catalyst. Somebody has to step out of their comfort zone and say, my kid's future, our nation's future is worth more to me than that. Again, as in our terms, to get to them, you've got to go through me.
Yeah.
That's what that means. With your body, you say, to get to them, you have to go through me. But people have to do that. And then somebody looks over and goes, I'm with him. To get to them, you got to go through us. And then all of a sudden that becomes thousands of people, and they go, you know what? Fine, educate your kids. Teach them whatever you want. Like the truth, like American history, whatever. So that's a huge deal. Good and the bad, by the way. So nobody's trying to pretend, or we're not trying to pretend, that we are without flaw. That this has been this perfect nation. It just means that we can't judge. We got to forgive our fathers at some point. So the people that are like, yeah, so and so did this and so did that, is probably that person that's having a fight with a 30-year-old dad. The problem is their dad's now 60. The guy doesn't exist anymore, right? So that's unfortunate. That is an unwinnable battle.
I've heard it said before, break the cycle. You
got to do it.
Cycle. Yep.
You got to do it. We can do it. So I said, again, to finish it off, instead of saying, what can one person do, start saying, try to keep up.
Try to keep up.
Get busy. When you get busy and you are pursuing something you're passionate about, you really don't have time to play tit for tat with the keyboard warriors. Keyboard courage is another heard that.
Yeah.
Right. So face to face, they wouldn't have any facts. They'd fall apart. They wouldn't even show up to the conversation. But they sit at home with nothing better to do than to attack people that are moving the needle. Yeah. So not a whole lot of respect for that. So I'll respond to them if I wish on my time and my terms. So my challenge to you to finish this off is follow a complaint with a truth. And then with an action. So the next time you find yourself complaining about something going on, follow that with a true statement. Somebody, whether it's you or somebody else, somebody says, I've done this. I do this regularly, actually. Annoys people. They say something, and I go, is that a true statement? Like, you never do the thing with you. Or like that one, no one's doing anything. Is that a true statement?
Yep.
What if I gave you half a dozen names and you could Google them and they are actually moving the needle? They're just lacking support because you're sitting here complaining. Dang it. Okay, that's the truth, and that sucks. And the action would be, how about we start something and get after that? I'm meeting with a guy who's just been sick, meeting with him because we've been slacking off a little bit on the Stand the Gap initiative because we're doing everything else, right? So we built that up, and we had bigger plans for that. And a guy says, hey, how about I help you with that? I need to do something. And I'm really good.
Absolutely.
As you know, I'm stellar at logistics.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. I'm not. I can send the energy, I can the vision, all that stuff. But when it comes to the particulars, I need a BK in my life, right? So he showed
Melissa Papoulias,
right? Keep the wheels on the bus, man. Monkey killer. Whole other story. Okay, so chief monkey killer, right? Kill the monkey. She does too. But yeah, this guy Steve he said, I am good at that. That's my thing, man. I love doing that.
He has a passion for it.
Yeah, he has a passion for it. So stand by for that. Community Impact Team with Stand the Gap Initiative under Family Research Council. So that's coming. So
I can't wait.
Challenge you once again, follow your complaints, yours or someone else's, with a truth and then an action. So we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Sign off. Check out the Able Shepherd program because, like I said, that's what's setting that standard to do this in a safe, responsible way. So that's at ableshepherd.com. Check us out on Facebook, on my personal one, Jimmy Graham, and then also on Able Shepherd. It's got the crook and shield. This is a shield with a shepherd's crook down the middle of it. Stand in the Gap Initiative are those free resources that you can take and model your own community team. If you want to look at the preparedness stuff, what do we call it, readiness,
the 2 and 10,
the 2 and 10 cards. There's so much good stuff on there. It's what you need to really build that community and get it going. But you're going to have to do the legwork on that one. Stand in the gapinitiative.com. The Protect Your Culture podcast, we have both video and audio. Oh, thank you so much, BK. Appreciate that. And once again, special thanks to our sponsors, Able Nation. If you need help enhancing the security of your church, school, or civic group, contact Neil at able-nation.org. Anything to bring it home, brother?
Telling you what, talking to Neil Pinkham's the best phone call you'll have all day. Guaranteed.
Right? I talked to him today.
I dare you
so
to try.
I get to smile all day long. All right, guys. We're going to wrap it up. So until we see you again, God bless each and every one of you. Take care of one another.